We have a major update on the Knicks' current plans for TJ Warren. We also have an update about OG Anunoby and his return. And it's very good news. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. But before we get started, guys, about 54% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy daily Knicks content like this, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because it could really support all the great content that we're creating for you. And now, let's get started. TJ Warren deal coming. OG Anunoby injury update. When talking about the Knicks' final roster spot, the name that always comes up continuously is TJ Warren. And that's with good reason. He's 6'8". He can shoot. One of the best scorers in the G League right now. He can rebound the ball. He can defend as well, too. Right now, the way he's scoring, he's looking like the TJ Warren from the bubble a few years ago. We could definitely use a player like that. But here's the issue. The Knicks currently have to wait until March 1st in order to sign him. And that has led many fans to question, have the Knicks' plans changed for TJ Warren? Are they still going to add him? Or do they think another team is going to add him? And now are they pivoting on their plans and looking somewhere else? Well, thanks to Ian Begley, an SNY NBA insider, he helped confirm the Knicks' plans for TJ Warren. Shout out to Ian Begley for giving us more information on the Knicks adding a 15th player to the team and confirming their current plans on TJ Warren. According to Begley, at the end of this month, on March 1st, the Knicks will have enough room under the second apron to add a prorated veterans minimum contract. I do believe TJ Warren is going to get consideration for that role. I don't know exactly which way the Knicks will go, but I'm sure he'll get consideration. He's been really good in the G League. Tom Thibodeau said the other day that he respects Warren, a 9-year veteran, what he's done, and how he's been playing down in Westchester, mentoring the young guys and playing really well. Well, there you go. That's the clarity that I have been waiting for, and I know a lot of other Knicks fans have been waiting for. Even though the Knicks cannot sign TJ Warren until March 1st, it doesn't matter. Their plans for him have not changed. If he is available come March 1st, the Knicks will sign him, and he will be the final person, the final player to make this team. And likely, he will be utilized by Tom Thibodeau for a number of reasons. But here's the main two. Number one, he's a 9-year vet. Number two, he's tall and can score. Given those factors, I think he plays a lot of minutes. He comes off the bench for New York, and maybe, this is a maybe here, when Mitchell Robinson comes back, Tom Thibodeau might have enough confidence in the bench unit to play 5 off the bench and keep all of his starters rested. Now, it's going to depend on the matchup, who's available, who they're playing against, all of these other factors. But I do think Tom Thibodeau will trust a lineup like that because he's going to be forced to. In order to win and thrive in the postseason, you need to develop and trust your starters. But you also need to develop, understand, and get an idea of who your bench unit is, who your second unit is, who thrives, what their role is, what their impact is, and what weapons you have on the bench, when you can use them, when you should use them. This is what Tom Thibodeau should be looking at, should be wondering about, and should be looking at his roster top to bottom and thinking to himself, when can I use Ariel Hukporti? When can I use Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns together? When can I use this combination of players? That's what Tom Thibodeau must do. Besides adding more players and adding more talent to the team, which, by the way, will help us, another way for this team to improve is just simply by getting healthy. If we're patient, we wait, and we get healthier, Mitchell Robinson comes back. But another player comes back as well, too. OG Anunoby. As we all know, he is currently dealing with a non-contact injury. It was called a foot injury, then a toe injury. Either way, he's dealing with an injury, and thankfully, that injury was diagnosed as an injury that was not severe. That is a huge relief for New York. But the next question is, when is Anunoby going to return? It's great. He was questionable for a number of games, game time decision, didn't play. Is he going to come back right after All-Star break? Are we going to have to wait a little bit before we see Anunoby? What's the deal? Well, shout out to Ian Begley for help clarifying his status as well, too. And like I said to start off the show, it's very good news. Shout out to Ian Begley for giving us the following information about OG Anunoby's injury and possible return. According to him, with OG Anunoby, I truly think that the Knicks really dodged the bullet here. Everything you hear is that there was a sigh of relief when that MRI came back and it was just a sprained foot. So I do think that sigh of relief was legitimate. And Tom Thibodeau has talked about the idea of this kind of precaution with OG Anunoby. They are being careful that it's not some big structural issue that they'll have to be worried about down the road. The Knicks were saying yesterday, it's just about how he wakes up the next day after he works out. The idea that they listed him as questionable, I think that was total gamesmanship. There was a hope that he could maybe get a game in before the break, just to see how it would react. But I don't think this is the type of thing where he'll be out for, until early April. I do think he'll be back on the floor earlier than that. And I absolutely agree with Ian Begley here. Given all of the updates that we heard about OG Anunoby prior to the All-Star break, it sounded like he was going to play at least one of those games. I'm glad he didn't. I didn't think he should. He deserved to rest additionally because we all saw what happened to Anthony Davis. Rushed back, came back, and now what happened? Out indefinitely. We don't know for how long. It could be a couple of weeks before he's reevaluated before he comes back for the Dallas Mavericks. That's something to think about. I'm glad Anunoby didn't play, but it does sound like he was close to playing even before the break. So I got to think right after All-Star break, and I'm talking about right after it. That's when OG Anunoby is going to play and return for New York. I believe our first game back right after All-Star break is against the Chicago Bulls. If that's the case, I would anticipate that OG Anunoby's return game is that game against Chicago. Not saying we need him against the Bulls right now, but it's going to be nice to have him back, having that level of defense back. I think we've all seen it. The Knicks on the floor without OG look like a completely different team. You add OG Anunoby back to this type of team, we look like a better team, a more focused team, a more locked-in team. That's what OG Anunoby gives this roster. Apart from that great defense he gives us, it allows everybody else, when he plays defense, to also buy in on the defensive side of the ball. And they start playing better defense as a byproduct to OG Anunoby being on the floor. And just simply him doing what he does best. Changes are coming. And they're going to make us better because they're the changes we need to make as a championship contender. But what about you guys? What do you think about the Knicks still having the plans to add TJ Warren to the team with their final roster spot if he is available come March 1st? And what about the OG Anunoby injury update and his update about his return? It does sound like that everything is pointing to the Knicks dodging a major bullet here and Anunoby being available and active right after All-Star break. Let me know how you feel about these updates about Anunoby and TJ Warren in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.